Why Doom Eternal factually encourages quick swapping. There's a persistent claim in the Doom Eternal community that the game doesn't force quick swapping, that it's optional, stylistic, or something only high-level players do for speedrunning or flexing. On the surface, that sounds reasonable. After all, you can finish encounters using a single weapon if you really want to. But once you look at how Doom Eternal's combat systems actually function together, it becomes clear that the game organically and deliberately encourages quick swapping, even if it never says the words out loud. Not as a flashy trick, not as an advanced exploit, but as the safest, most efficient, and most reliable way to survive, especially on higher difficulties. This isn't about opinion, it's about how the mechanics interlock. Ammo scarcity is the first pressure point. Doom Eternal's ammo economy is intentionally tight. That's not controversial. It's one of the game's defining features. Each weapon has a small ammo pool, and enemies are aggressive enough that sustained fire drains those pools fast. In large encounters, especially later in the game, you can burn through a weapon's ammo in seconds. This creates an immediate problem. You cannot rely on a single gun for long. Now yes, the chainsaw exists as the primary ammo refill tool, but it's tied to a cooldown. And more importantly, it requires positioning, awareness, and access to fodder enemies. When you're being assaulted by multiple demons at once, projectiles flying, melee pressure closing in, aerial threats above, you often don't have the luxury of waiting for the chainsaw to come back online or hunting for the right target. So, what's the fastest solution in the moment? You switch weapons. That's quick swapping, even if people don't like calling it that. The game doesn't say quick swap now, but the ammo economy quietly pushes you there by making not swapping the riskier choice. The chainsaw reinforces weapon rotation, not weapon loyalty. The chainsaw isn't a replacement for ammo management, it's a reset button with a timer. Because it's cooldown-based, you can't use it as a constant solution. Instead, the optimal play becomes use multiple weapons, drain multiple ammo pools, chainsaw when the opportunity opens, repeat. That loop only works if you're actively rotating weapons. If you stick to one gun and drain it dry, you're forced into a dangerous situation where you must chainsaw immediately or disengage entirely. If you swap intelligently, you stay lethal longer and control the fight better. So while the chainsaw is technically the ammo solution, weapon swapping is how you delay needing it. Again, that's not optional in practice. It's encouraged by the system design. The shoulder launcher is already force swapping. This is where the "you don't have to quick swap" argument really starts to fall apart. The shoulder launcher is not optional fluff. It's a core combat tool. And every time you use it, you are already quick swapping. Freeze bomb, frag, grenade, flame, belch. You're constantly switching between them depending on the situation. Freeze to create space, flame belch to generate armor, frag to stagger or control crowds. That's weapon switching layered on top of weapon switching. Even if someone claims they just use one gun, they are still actively swapping combat tools mid-fight. The game is already training the player to juggle multiple inputs and cooldowns fluidly. At that point, pretending the game doesn't encourage quick swapping becomes a semantic argument, not a mechanical one. Enemy design quietly pushes you towards specific tools. Take the cacotoman. The most efficient, safest, and fastest way to deal with it is to stagger it with a grenade in its mouth, either via the shotgun sticky bomb or the shoulder launcher. That's not an accident, that's design intent. The same applies to arachnotron weak points, mancubus arm cannons, revenant launchers. Yes, you can destroy these weak points with other weapons like the precision bolt. But in Eternal's aggressive, fast-paced combat, stopping to line up a careful snipe, especially in later levels, is often slower and riskier than using the intended tool. So what happens in practice? You switch. Shotgun to grenade, back to another weapon, then something heavier for follow-up damage. That's not style, it's efficiency. And efficiency matters more the higher the difficulty gets. On lower difficulties, you can get away with ignoring some systems. On higher difficulties, Eternal strips away that illusion. Enemies are faster, damage is higher, mistakes are punished immediately. At that point, the safest way to play is also the fastest way, and the fastest way involves switching between tools constantly to control space, stagger threats, and manage resources. You're not quick swapping because the game told you to. You're quick swapping because not doing it gets you killed. That's the definition of systemic encouragement. Eternal encourages quick swapping, just not loudly. Doom Eternal doesn't put a tutorial pop-up saying you must quick swap. Instead, it does something more subtle. It makes the intended playstyle the safest one. Ammo scarcity, cooldown-based refills, enemy-specific vulnerabilities, layered combat tools, aggressive encounter pacing. All of these elements converge toward one conclusion. Rotating weapons and tools rapidly is the most reliable way to survive. And when a game consistently rewards one behavior and punishes another, that's encouragement, whether it's explicit or not. It's not about flashy swaps, it's about systemic pressure. When people argue that Doom Eternal doesn't encourage quick swapping, they're usually thinking about flashy speedrunner techniques or animation cancel tricks. But that's missing the point. Doom Eternal encourages quick swapping at a foundational level. Not as a trick, but as a survival strategy. You swap because ammo runs dry. You swap because cooldowns demand it. You swap because enemies are designed around specific responses. You swap because standing still with one gun is dangerous. It's not shouted at the player. It's quietly enforced by the systems. And that's why quick swapping in Eternal isn't just a preference. It's the natural outcome of how the game is built. Even the special weapons reinforce quick swapping by design. And this pressure toward quick swapping doesn't stop with the standard weapon roster. It extends directly into Doom Eternal's so-called special weapons. The Crucible, the Chainsaw, and the BFG. All three of these are treated differently by the game, but mechanically, they serve the same underlying purpose: resource-based problem solving under pressure. And crucially, all three are designed to be swapped to and from, not committed to. Let's start with the Chainsaw. The Chainsaw is effectively a weapon, even if the game doesn't label it as one. It has its own input, its own animation, its own risk profile, and its own strategic use case. And the core loop around it is simple. Switch to Chainsaw, execute, switch back to combat. That is quick swapping by definition. You are constantly moving from your current weapon to the Chainsaw and back again to maintain ammo flow. On top of that, the game places Chainsaw fuel pickups throughout the world, specifically to reduce the cooldown and keep that loop active. This isn't accidental. The environment itself is designed to support frequent switching between damage mode and ammo farming mode. So even at the most basic level, Eternal already expects players to treat tools interchangeably and swap between them fluidly. Now look at the Crucible and the BFG. These two weapons serve the same strategic purpose, emergency threat removal, but from opposite spatial contexts. The Crucible is a last resort solution for close-range, high-pressure encounters. When a heavy demon is in your face and the situation is spiraling, the Crucible gives you an instant, decisive answer. The BFG, on the other hand, is a last resort solution for long-range or wide-area pressure. It clears space, deletes multiple threats, and resets the battlefield from a distance. They're not meant to replace your standard weapons. They're meant to be pulled out briefly, used decisively, and then put away. That's swapping, and the game reinforces this through scarcity. Crucible charges are extremely limited. BFG ammo is rare. You're not encouraged to main these weapons. You're encouraged to recognize the moment when they're the correct answer and switch to them immediately. Sure, you could fire the BFG point blank at a single enemy. The game doesn't stop you, but it punishes you indirectly by making that choice wildly inefficient. You drain an incredibly valuable resource for minimal gain, leaving yourself weaker afterward. So, once again, the game isn't barking orders at you. It's shaping behavior through efficiency. Use the right tool at the right time, then move on. That's the same philosophy driving the rest of Eternal's combat. So, when people say Doom Eternal doesn't encourage quick swapping because it never explicitly tells you to do it, they're missing the bigger picture. Eternal doesn't instruct quick swapping through tutorials. It enforces it through pressure, through ammo scarcity, through cooldowns, through enemy design, through spatial threat management, through efficiency versus punishment. When the safest, fastest, and most reliable way to survive is to constantly rotate tools, that isn't optional behavior, that's the intended route. Doom Eternal encourages quick swapping, just quietly and relentlessly. And that's really the takeaway here. Doom Eternal doesn't need to shout quick swap at the player because it doesn't have to. The systems do the talking for it. Ammo scarcity, cooldown-based refills, enemy pressure, and situational tools like the chainsaw, Crucible, and BFG all quietly push you toward the same behavior. Switch fast, adapt fast, or get overwhelmed. You can absolutely brute force encounters if you want. The game allows it. But the moment things get intense, especially on higher difficulties, the most efficient, safest path is the one the systems keep nudging you toward. And that path involves constant switching, constant adaptation, and constant tool rotation. That's not an accident. That's design. If you agree, disagree, or think I'm off the mark, chuck it in the comments. I'm always up for the discussion. More Doom deep dives, more combat design breakdowns, and more slightly unhinged rants are on the way, so stick around if that's your thing. Until next time, take it easy, look after yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, legends.